So I remember back, this was probably 2014. I had scheduled a few vocal lessons over Skype with a vocal coach from Nashville. Okay, and I just vividly, there's one thing about this one particular lesson that I really remember. And it was so we started the lesson over Skype, and he started to walk me through some vocal exercises to get me warmed up and also to kind of gauge where I was at so that he could hopefully direct me into the right direction towards improvement. But there was one thing in particular I remember he said, and it was, your head voice is virtually non existent right now. Your head voice is virtually non existent right now. And that sounded pretty harsh to me at the moment. I'm like, ooh, that kind of stings. it's just non-existent. It just doesn't exist. And here's the thing. He was right. I literally, like, if you got me to do an exercise like beep, 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 like, I couldn't even make tone. I was so strained and so stressed and so tight that I couldn't basically do hardly anything with my voice. Now, but that's not all, because when you have no head voice or falsetto, whatever you want to call it, when you can't even get to that, that also usually means you can't get into any type of mixed voice, which means you hit a ceiling super quick. So as soon as I would hit a middle C or a C sharp above middle C, I would start to strain my eyeballs out. And you talk like an E was super high. That was hard. It had to be the perfect vocal day for me to hit an E and not feel like I was gonna completely lose my voice, right? This is the struggle that I had at the time, especially in 2014. And now, just so with some backstory, one of the reasons that I think my voice was so, even on a physical level, was so strained and stressed and uncoordinated was because I struggled with a stutter. So I stuttered quite a lot as a teenager, and that had I think, profound effect on my ability to sing as well, because it created this habitual state of stress and of tension and of straining when I talked, but then whenever I used my vocal cords in any way. Now, obviously, I didn't stutter when I sang, because most people who stutter don't stutter when they sing, but I did carry over all that strain and that stress and that lack of coordination and that sense of almost a fight or flight thing where the chords just kind of clamp together and there's no fluidity, it's just this clunky type of thing. That is what I was dealing with. And then that led to my vocal coach being like, yo, your voices or your head voice is virtually non-existent right now. And the reason that I bring this up is because I want to encourage you. I want to bring you on the inside and show you what this actually looks like and what growth actually looks like with regards to vocals and vocal ability. So what I'm going to do now is play you a bit of a montage, if you will, of my timeline of what my vocals sounded like over the years, starting at about 2012 all the way up to the present day. And this will give you, hopefully, a crystal clear understanding of, wow, this is what growth looks like. This is how it actually happens. And I want you to be able to really perceive it and see it and hear it. So here we go. I'm going to play it for you now. Have a watch.
The truth, changeless and solid. There's so many roads I have traveled. We'll always be one guy when all hell comes against you. You are my one desire. Gonna get it together, I know. Gonna get it together and flow. Gonna get it together and go up and up and up. Baby, you're a candle in the dark. Your aroma lifts me up, yeah. Hey, hey, do you hear the waves crashing? Hey, hey, like drum hits, they are crashing. What if we dance to the rhythm? Love is pain, it's let it hurt a little. Seasick lovers, we toss and turn as we fade. A phone rings across the room, but why even answer? I know it isn't her. rules. I'm tired, I'm tired, I'm tired. Yeah. Won't you stay? Oh, Jessica, Jessica. Oh, yeah. Flickering light, my satellite, my satellite. Oh, maybe she's a thorn in my side, my kryptonite, my kryptonite. I don't know how to fight.
So as you heard there, that's a pretty drastic improvement from 2012 to 2023, right? It's pretty crazy how I was able to grow my voice and grow my skills, but in some ways it's not crazy at all. The reason I was able to do that is because I didn't give up after 3 weeks, right? Just like with any skill, if you truly stick with it and you position yourself to receive feedback in a variety of ways, and I don't mean feedback just by having other people listen to your song and then give you feedback. I also mean feedback on yourself and being very objective with yourself so that you can grow. And maybe that looks like a call with the vocal coach. Maybe they'll point some things out that I hope you to grow as well. But at the end of the day, this really comes down to growth, growth, growth. So now let me talk about, let's segue into what exactly growth looks like, because this is such an important point. And if you don't understand this point, you could be one of those people who gives up after 2 or 3 weeks of trying to improve your skills. You need to understand this concept. So you could think of this as, this is what I call, or what I like to think of as the difference between a light switch and a dial. So obviously, for a light switch, you flip a light on, and then the whole room gets flooded with light. You flip it off, everything goes black, everything goes dark. It's on off. It's just this binary on off with nothing in between. That's not what it's like to learn how to sing better. That is completely the opposite of what it is actually like. The process of learning how to become better vocally is much more like a dial. So if you imagine a light that is set on a dial from, say, 0 to 100, and you start to turn it, it's very dim, right? And then if you crank it to 100, then it becomes very bright and flooded with light. And then there's that whole spectrum in between. It's the analogy of the dial. I want you to have that picture in your head. This is what it's like to become better at vocals. It's not that you wake up one day and all of a sudden you hit that spike and then your voice has changed forever. That's not the way these things work. This is about growth. And what happens in this growth process is it's not what you might think. Because when you think of a dial, you might think, oh, I just get slowly better, right? I go from 5, or maybe you start at 15 or 20, let's say. So I start at 15, 18, 21, 24, 25, 28, 30, 35. Just slowly work my way up and getting better. That's also not how it works. Instead, here's how it works. You might start at 18, you go 20, 22, 28, minus 18, minus 10, 25, 30, 35, 65, 35, minus 10, 35, 40, 45. And then, things will start to even out a little bit so you don't get all those dips and all those spikes. It'll start to work its way up. And then you'll go 40, 45, 46, 40, 37, 48, 49, 29, 35, 51. And then you might get a spike to 65 and 70. And then maybe it'll come back down to 60 and 58. Do you notice what's happening here? Your average level of growth, or you could say your average level of competence rather, is rising. It started at 18, let's say for your average, and even though it's doing this and it's kind of all over the place, it's not linear. That's the main point here. Learning to get better at vocals and really virtually any skill, it's not a linear path. It's a slow, like, up, down, up, down. But what's happening here is kind of like there's this concept I think I heard it first in relation to the stock market. So when you're investing in the stock market, it's like a kid going up the stairs with a yo-yo. So if you visualize what that is, you see a kid going up a stairs with a yo-yo. The yo-yo goes up and down, right? It just goes up and down, And if you only focus on the yo-yo, you're not seeing anything happen. Nothing's changing. The yo-yo goes from here to here to here to here to here. But if you take a step back, you realize, oh, the kid's been going up the stairs the whole time. So the yo-yo is not actually doing this. It's actually doing this. Right? That's what it's like. It's that you're raising your average, you're raising your base level of ability to sing well. And that grows over time. But if you go and you focus in and zoom in on just the yo-yo, or if you zoom in on just the day-to-day instead of the bigger picture, you just might stress yourself out and be like, well, I'm not even really seeing growth. That'll happen because you will have bad days and you will have better days and then you have bad days. It's this type of thing. But again, if you stick with it and if you truly maintain that growth approach of like, I am going to do what it takes to get better. If you position your brain to be like, I'm not going to have it any other way, I will get better. Your brain is going to find a way to get better. You will find a way to improve. And that is why I'm really going and making module 1 here quite extensive, because I want to give you a real understanding of what this looks like. I want to give you a roadmap for not only mixing your vocals or recording your vocals. I want the vocal take before it ever touches the mic to sound pristine, to sound awesome. And I want you to find your maximum potential. And you can do that because it's your maximum potential. I don't know what that is. You don't know what that is, but you're never going to know what it is if you don't actually go look for it and if you don't truly put in the work to find out. So if you're passionate about it and if you truly care about music and vocals and being able to make the music you want to make, then I think it's almost like you're obligated to yourself to go find out how good you could sound if you put in the work. So I wanted to share that with you today to give you that encouragement, to give you a feeling and an understanding of this is what growth looks like. And I showed you again my journey from 2012 to the present day. And hopefully these analogies of like the yo-yo effect, as well as the light switch versus the dial, hopefully those helped you gain a more clear understanding of what this process actually looks like, of what growth actually looks like. And I want you to truly approach it in this way so that you don't give up after 2 weeks or 3 weeks, because you're not gonna, this is about playing the long game. You might not see that much impact right away. Your voice might not make crazy changes right away, and that's normal. You're changing habits in your brain, and it takes time to change habits in your brain because of just the way that your brain is resistant to change. So you need to be able to put in some hard work and really push through that resistance. And if you do that, you will see results with time. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.